Good morning, children. A B C D E F G H R E H R E T V. Go and watch H R E T V. Bye bye. H R his his
Yankutuna nasio nyameno no.
Hello. You're from a Calibos, the Willie boss. Oh, wait, what is New York for more, America for more. Tap in tea, may cheer yourself and then in my bedroom, New York City, say, sometime. Some more money here. Your most reliable, fast, secured money transfer app. Your tap send about New York City. Ne san say ye near 3 years ye muntino. Ya pesi a boy customers phone now. Ni say hunti tap send the new feature be abeka ho be boa na bo ho ban a protect so. Na so wo send ni sika ye hu nipa a wo send ni. Nti ano no wo be ko app na so no upload o passport ana say o driver's license ana say o resident permit card. Who upload here? Yes, Ramo. No say twa selfie ka crazy aka ho. Na so twa wi a ebe boa ma tap send. Be hu nipa ko a o send sika every wo account ni mu e wo tap send app no so. Boa yen ni emboa wo. Tap send. It's secure, it's fast, and it's convenient everywhere. Baby.
I was at one, you're from a Calibos, the only boss with what is. Do you know about Tap Send? Tap Send is one of the easiest, convenient, reliable money transfer app you can get. You can download Tap Send on Google Play Store or App Store. We download it and then you register. And you are good to go to send money across every place, many countries in the world. Tap Send. I wouldn't like that.
Ebisafo ya bamu na akwaba kese ebiom eba time with tap send so right here ewo HRE TV sabre Jordan Dume send the Dume de Abraham bia no sana ene ye de Abraham now track our pro ababetu bi no ye no moja every die mu efusane na techemada bodu sem de ne ka de say the trade apo ase and bibi bia wo gidi bia no da ho ase bibi bia wo bia ho chia kese pa ana mede bawo Sabre, so radio so and I would say, and I would say a few carbon. And I say, Bia, oh, share be catch or say, your manchake see a pa, if tap send. I swear, HITV so and I would dig so, or share HITV so now, or so good so, would ye. Drado do me program ya Debramo, Tambo tap send, and then you be near today mental health, not a death sentence. Mental health, not a death sentence. Now, guest star, you need to be trained commoner, and then you are best studio, and you need to be trained commoner. And you say, you may pick it virtually, with a physical, yagani, Philly. And can you back say, me never ne, aha, it's a buffer, you've been so mammy. We are not in man, as so mammy. We is so another guano at Wasso. I was at the Acadeda. All right. Answer the record. I could confirm. Your guest about nothing. Yes, to be the national message. Now, seven patch of now. This is the part that it gets interesting. This is the part that it gets educative, and this is the part that gets very, very informative. Until there's no need for us to be selfish. Yes, share. Na amafu for suhundom de yen sheda mofu for ehu nia ye laki ebe boye ama yetimi ate afufa enyamu ete ase so wotimi ti obi ase a one net na very very successful very, very easy so wonti obi ase na net a problems about all the time it be so by this time no the who your numbers here was be percent numbers e quadruple na afedie bibia moving forward yo yes differences okoto sa bobi esi apapa so a ɛnyɛ ne pɛdo de si na emom no obi de kukuru de si hɔ no saa so na akoto sɛ kusi gyina kwantanan a na nyɛ ne mmiriketua a na nyɛ akukuduro na ntia ma no ayɛ dene anaasɛ na ntia nyɛ akukuduro nyinaa ɛne sɛ adwumakuo bi ana abɔ me chidom ana asɔ masene ana bi de dwumadie yi ɛbrɛ wo na ntia mo sɛ bisi apampa so nyinaa no kyerɛ sɛ adwumakuo bi ana aka bom ana bom bɛdɛ ana bi dɔm sɛ mensoa ɛfa mbra mo muni hɔ yɛ ni ɔ yesu ni hɔ na kɔkɔtwe ɛde abra mo ne ɛdɛ ne kama pa ne yɛ de abra mo me kanfo Happy Glow GH ɛde amawo ɛne wo busuafo nyinaa mmarima na mo na hwan sɛ sandpaper no obakɔkɔ da de bɛkyi na obɛhyɛ timu nyinaa ayɛ mogya ai kɔdɛkɔyɛ wɔ nan wate pedicure ne medicure ne nyinaa no kɔdɛkɔyɛ ɔsɛ eyebrow ɛne eyelash threading ne nyinaa no ɔba bɛyɛ ne kama ahoɔfɛ to aso hɔnom ɛne wɔ Happy Glow come and just glow saa so na me saa so ka wɔ biom sɛ wopɛ ɛdan papa adem anaasɛ wopɛ baabi a wobɛtumi agye wahome anaasɛ wopɛ dan atɔbo look no further about Feel Good Homes say pomekyerɛ akwan na afei deɛ ɔno mu di dwumadie kamakama ɔmo nɔma no da fidie no so ɛtwa spedie de nom from wɔ 513-372-5758 na afei deɛ ɔmo no ɛni nkita ho Feel Good HL and America channel no Feel Good Homes, a better home for your living. I say real estate investment in Ghana nyina no no be ko ho kama. Sa so biam na sa upe a better place to have mental health education na look no further about Feel Good Services. And the Feel Good Services na kasa wo fiamsi enya ne ba betwetwe kobo nti do kapo de ya rate house bebre. Nti men pem no ono nsa be che more when it comes to but since open the chat kwaya hwehwe no feelgoodservices@gmail.com. The booking schedules and appointments, the consultations no ensu. Suit papa ahimfie, blonding bespoke, and then suit papa ahimfie. So we pay baby a benya suit a bed down. Now we see about it because you, them and they see about you, oba, sima and they see about it. Where their wedding, engagement. Sorry. Suit baby this suit could be me person make a year because ye nya de pa ye be kra ma ye ho but say akon ni pen kwa de e ye kan ho say ye put na akon person we suit hwe blonde bespoke e cha kwan na afedie omo no make it ho phone number you afedie ni so from 0555-927-378 e yana de plus 233 edikan ye busuafo pemu di pemu ye kan tetere no ne nsuo bi ane e fe no openi di peni. Yes, and on the buyer answer pure water ever. Yes, is pure water. Don't have the 2 penny the penny. The bunny actually rubber. Now me catch us say tap sen. Ebusokunu na himfi. So pe baby a we see this car coffee. Now you're fast, secured, reliable, and also very safe. And now also you're very good with the rate now. Look no further but tap sen. Tap sen. Ebusokunu na ajiatu. Obusuafo etwa bosome no ahya ase se diska kofi wate ya doye no bisusu be wa doye one day Sabre yengo ko Director David na afi de yenye quick introduction o mama updates with Tatapsen owia na afi de yenye your guest atwitwikobo madam ase Director David welcome to time.
Well, good evening, PK. Again, thanks so much for making the time. And you said a holiday. I know a holiday before or 4th of July. So I'm more for America. Happy 4th, and thanks so much for making the time. But show the update in the end, updating the UBA rating to see about updating also. Meaning said historically, I cast a rating on him, so we're doing everything in our power to make sure I said near the Bremer. As it sits now, I think against the competitors, we're doing pretty well. And we're very happy and excited about that. And then one aspect of it. Second aspect, and so thank you again for joining me. I'm saying Nipa 12 now, but and they brought on so even given though any holiday in the crowd, my son Baba is supporting, so really grateful. Today we have a special guest with us to discuss. Asema aya say Musio Kaka. We always say you culturally in Ghana for no about mental health issues. So I'm happy PK was able to bring a guest on to discuss an issue. If he and call for one, they'll be able to understand. Again, thank you so much for making the time, PK. I don't want to stand in the way of the show. I think it's going to be an exciting one. NT, Pacho, PK, if you can take it away and make the introduction to the doctor, so we can get most of the time for the doctor.
All right, Director David, I say, You see rate the ASU into Mr. Also Manisu. I was afraid to take quick commercial break. You buy enough idea near your guest no at your drinkable. Miss Rafa Sako Yasu, Nefro, you know, so Embra, and Bidij Medid, Madame Masse.
I was at one, your friend Carla Boss, the only boss with what this. Do you know about TapTapSend? Unima Metro. TapTapSend is one of the easiest, convenient, reliable money transfer app you can get. You can download TapTapSend on Google Play Store or App Store. We download it and then you register. Register and you are good to go to send money across every place, many countries in the world. TapTapSend. Why wouldn't that happen?
The search is over. Are you ready for 29th July? African Most Beautiful USA. Who wears the crown?
The night is gonna be live on 2000 Howell Drive by Mara, New Jersey, 08065. Ambusa 23. Yes, it's over. The search is over. And the ladies are ready. Apparently, we are anticipating the maiden event. Who wears the crown for African Most Beautiful USA 2023? Date, Saturday, July 29th, 2023. Venue was Claridge Hotel, Atlantic City. NJ08401. Cameras, lights, and action.
African Most Beautiful USA.
Red carpet on the night is gonna be a dynasty. RT's on the bill.
Kelvin Boy, Obrafo, Gata KD, Natty Borax, FBS,
JD, Cultural Chook, and Kora Obidi. What are you waiting for? Grab your tickets now.
Get your tickets from www.eventbrite.com.
The most anticipated night for an African girl living in the States? Who wears the crown? Ambusa, African Most Beautiful USA.
You are the one.
Yankutuna nasio nyameno no. Yanana se wa maya tamfuate shoko. Hey, dia wa ne dia no no. Wayama na yamenwanwa. Hey, wayama na timwa eh. Atamfuate shoko. Ghana for me the unbreakable joy is blessing. Oh, she HRE TV. Koswana she. Now be inshira unbreakable. Keep it locked.
Check the statistics. What from beaucoup d'État on my big six. We remove all the girls, logistics. You want here top speed, Olympics. Yo, what up, people? It's your boy Natalie, and I'm watching HRE TV, man. Keep it locked. Badman operator.
Hello, guys. It's your girl Pamela Odame Watara, and I just want to recommend HRE TV for you guys for all your latest interviews. Just stay tuned at HRE TV. I love you all guys.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching me live on HRE TV. HR, His Royal Majesty. Oh my goodness, I love the name of this TV. HRE TV. Oh my goodness. Just catch us live on YouTube. Just go there, HRE TV, and click subscribe, and then get updates on everything that they put there, and then watch them also live on Facebook. When you hear the name HRTV, you are talking about television that comes from the heart. Oh, HRTV. Good morning, children. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, R, E, H, R, E, HRE TV. Go and watch HRE TV. Bye bye.
I be so afraid that say when ya abutre afedie na muda sane links to so microphone na nkofo share the mase pa improvement no. Sabe nkofu ye guest in na afedie ye ne ntwetwe nkomo ye guest you obi a ye ne no edi nkomo wa happen na initially no obecheche ya ba real estate development ono na ye see your feel good homes ono aso so na ye see your feel good services into the and then you better say nkomo ebe me feel good and I say yang sabe mo nkomo no ma feel good whichever it is no we're going to find out by the end of the show. mental health, not a death sentence. Dr. Phil, what to say?
Oh, nyame do more PK.
Now, July 4th, you didn't say. Also, Dr. David, be some promotion be and I say be a free plane ticket to be a did the yana. So nobody request me to ma. Me the pass a man go
and then you come boofu. See Dr. David. Yes, so pass a match. I catch nyame and I catch from him. Into the other ma. Ya kasa wote. Into do say a better one.
As I'm not bloody. All right. So you can say mental health, not a death sentence. I mean, what can say mental health, not a death sentence? What do you mean by that?
The main part is that once a baby, if you say the director we have a lot of perceptions and misconceptions about it. And to me, I give you far say I dream up of doing what some would dear. And ya dear, you come was and ya dear, your boss. Na impembe no say obi e will be crumple we busu bi mu a ye nka wasem kra ana say obi so nye bi nso a eya na dey nso obekwa treatment because eba ne say afofo hu say o nipa we say e wo yare we a eya na afi de adwen a ye wo efa oni kro no ho no akwa very different nti e mane difficult to say na dwuma mu na yonko fa mu na dwumadi ahodo a odi mu no e mano eyede nanso no enye ade a sabio unya na edukowo anaso say e wo say you fit society mu to say there will be hypertension anaso say diabetes nyina no we live with it on a daily basis into no sanso na say mental health anaso adwuma pomude Now me use these words, they may repeat it so many times, but differentiation be what I say. Once at this time, me make adwuma pomude. Ebi actually me make say adwuma yare, which is mental illness and the mental health and also mental condition. These two no different and yet interchangeable. Nyoma mienu kra on its own. And to no say apomude no and say yare no. Adoma menu a very different and say nya santi ase no. Enti to answer your question once again no say you can say mental health not a death sentence the me patch me say adwen you offer adwen apomuden ho nsem no e wo say yetimi sesa ne kakra na say ba ne say uwobi anaso obi wobi a e kwan ye fa so hu nipa kro ene the way I say no yetimi aye Unya bia me pacho enya ade a na chese ekofiko.
Okay. And to the what are some of the things that we can do to just change the mindset and as a conscientize the status quo? No?
All right. So I have a theory called the 3 T's, right? The teach, talk, and treat. And you know, about your church a seminar to say the unya munti ase no ebese san wadwen wo ho then eba de say unya bi so a o ka ho asem anaso say wo sha yonku bi a emfa ho say wo bi anaso wo bi ubetumi ne na ka ho asem so it becomes a normal conversation to have as we normalize it no after be ma agri no so wo ho no so no etimi akoyie kakra and the third one which is the treat say eba ne say perceptions na wo ho no ebe normalize ebe yetimi di hu nkomo yetimi ka ho asem enya ade a ehu sa to individuals bi wa then eba ne say also seek treatment it will be easier for you to seek that treatment.
Okay. All right. So what are some of the different types of you can agreement so what are different types of mental illness?
Okay, so illness in here no. To start off no Munyaka health and wasem. Well, you feed the broad to the narrow. Okay. And you know, say a class of mental health and that's a dream up pomude wasema. A state of well-being where you are able to manage your normal stresses and deal with daily activities, right? And with me, and also with me, no me go on my see what quite. And I say, but they say, or how be bow so with me managing the year. Until I know I do my pomudu wase. Ana it is diabetes. Ebi wɔ no ma wɔ ha bo say no sugar ekosro. En chese wɔ diabetes, right? But o sugar kosro. Utimi nya diabetic episode. But then en chese necessarily no o diabetic. In the same way also no ubetimi nya mental health episodes bi a en che necessarily say o mental health condition. Because in diagnosing any condition, there are criteria that has to be met. It is a meeting criteria now. If they are to be diagnosed with depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, and the rest. But then you are going through certain things for which you may need help. Into any mental health condition. Be a nama copy binti ama mebufu bi aba and chese me explosive disorder, right? But then before my inability to manage that anger very well can lead to certain circumstances. With that being said, I was certain piano, yetimi who your baseline, yetimi managing the year. So that is mental health condition. I do my pomode. Now for the abane yare no mental illness. So abane illness no kwa na. To say the maybe a hospital, that's a diagnosis. Typical so fever, or malaria, or diabetes, or hypertension, or say this, right? So a ban of mental health and so on. So a demand. Unfortunately, there if you know, say you can say mental health. See, obi our border man, also be a number bonting and a bibisa. But then there are over 300 diagnosable diseases. Ebana yarewa ahodo ayewodi ede esa ana yede hwe patients ebo ahasa 300 enti no stem bia no make say it is very unfortunate say ye ka mental health ho asem na yede adwe akwakosi ebia menu miasa na say numbi pe eso ebo ahasa enti no eba ne sa na afede ebo so obi a owo the yen time can once once it's a mental health condition, then it makes it very difficult for them to still seek help.
Okay, so what are some of the types now? Make us say the common ones, because it was over time they didn't be but it's what are some of the types now? Yeah, very common because I know most of them are being misinterpreted in the sense ebia where you bipolar now be the info for the amano where you be antisocial where be deficit be no be the info for the amano. What are some of the different types and how do we explain that and put a name to so okay deal way no yare way the symptoms in here and if you want to say best say but we just give us a general overview.
Okay, for the purposes of na edition ebia yentimi differential diagnosis, right? Because botaeno enye se ye di train you ama wakwa diagnosis no ahwe obi botane ye se ye betimi nyamu ntiase na ye nyamu yehumu sosoye na ye timi esiki help if needed. Enti no so obusa the types na to say them dikaka no ebrahasa but then ye for the common ones the common ones. Enti mambusa de ono watepe.
Oh, my table, I can't mean to me body, no.
Schizophrenia.
No.
Okay. More Zoom now, say, social media, so I also bet video there to honor. Then with that, me pick if you honor.
And there are more far different types in the brand, and you're breaking it off from that point,
Because there may be say be a common. It may be because of my exposure and my practice.
Okay, maybe let's look at depression and bipolar.
Okay, so depression and anxiety. Then we look at
only one.
There be two different ones.
Depression and anxiety too.
Two different ones.
Okay.
So these two are the most common mental health conditions in the world. Depression and anxiety. And with these two, now, so I like to use analogies. Sakasa. And example, right? Mesa benkum left hand, right hand ni. And to the left, you be depressed. Right, you be anxious. Now, nipa biya a bit of anxiety, okay. A bit of depression, normal. Because we are humans, we go through phases, right? But then, say you count on a scale of 0 equals 10 0 a depression 10 a anxiety. It is expected they say we will be around the average of 4 to 6. Woman no akofel kakra, woman no abashro kakra. Say about they say oko 3 equal 2 you beka say oye depressed. Say about they say oko 1 0 yes very clinically depressed and also a very depressed and not clinically depressed, right? Okay. Say about they say ufi 7 equal 8 yes anxious. Say about say ufi 9 equal 10 yes very anxious. One dimension. Until we have the mid-range, we have the variations kakra. Our kofem and our kosro. And I what the overfem pa and our wasro pa. Say about the symptoms now. Obi oye depressed. Everything is going down. Into bones of our bottle. Nera ho. Oni nije wo ni maybe an first pa no when nije wo mu. Why hopeless? Why hopeless? Quite afido timi suicidal, right? Enti ubo se bibia coffee. Obi so oye anxious no so ubo se bibia kosro. Enti ubo se body no react in some way. Some of the symptoms obi say obi on ma oye very anxious no also. Enti ubo se also obi on so na ni sem 1853. Obi on ma okasa afide ase opododo, right? Obi or so na enche dan the buafu during the anxious phase, you know. Both said they become irritable. Those symptoms na ni tubo say no many no kosho. As part of anxiety, you know, so no the physiological way it works, you know. We or so TB bia yam shiwa, which means to say amana aye anxious na. The body responds in such a way say obu odoma obu say denjo so de no sebi obu onom so na eba ne sa na also use bathroom number 2 won esi di yem enti say what is empedifo eke bibi say o asem na simi yem that is what they refer to. Enti no, that is anxiety, that is depression. Now the other one na kai bipolar. Say ka say by a 2 won enti by annual twice a year. Enti by A2, polar A mood. Until they say bipolar, which means you say you having 2 moods. And you know it's usually
before we go deep now. So does that mean say mood swings and one the bipolar now? Are they 2 different things?
Yeah, for layman terms, yes, 2 different things.
But medical terms,
medically, you know, mood swings typically is part of the bipolar symptoms, but the fact that you have mood swings also does not mean that you are bipolar.
Okay. It's mood swings can be okay, but having bipolar, you have to be diagnosed.
Right.
Okay, that's also.
It's a mental health condition versus illness. Okay. So having the mood swings may be a condition, but having the bipolar is an illness.
Okay.
And you know, you have the mood, right? The 2 moods, you know. And you know what happens? They say it becomes cyclical. And you know, at one point, you are at the top, which is manic phase. At the other point, you are down, which is depressive phase. Then you go up, right? And it doesn't have to follow any sequence. Maybe at 15 minutes up, 15 minutes down, 15 minutes up. No. It could be days, it could be weeks, it could be like within the space of time. Oh. And you know, and sometimes you better so whether near bipolar because when we are all of a sudden is your talk. Now all of a sudden we are but he said the near what I say. But then say about the mood now, there are also different forms of bipolar. Your unipolar, your hypomanic, right? Obu onuma unse because a mania no also, but obu onuma on call all the way. Into the symptoms no one of sir. Into no some of the symptomologies and as I say obi or bipolar no say there yeah say or manic phase ubo say keka it's more of anxiety related. The part of the some of the exceptions are any normal anxiety and they say obi odoma almost spending no ekosropa into no they overspend with no just cause. Me patient back could be or sticky parts, you know. I don't quite bear $500.
Oh, the idea.
No. Oh, that is what she felt like she needed and bought, or to about $500 worth of sticky pads. Another patient is so, or no, she, by the time I realized it, I don't know, I told 2 houses and a condo.
I realized it's another one was inside.
There was a manic phase. At that point, and no many people on my, oh yeah, you are not very conscious of it.
It's quite say crashing in India and so
it's a bit different because some you were near area.
Okay.
One of them. Some you crashing your back room, who knew more person to think is or person a guy. It's a bit different from someone who is going through mania and then overspending.
Wow. Until to me, you was inside.
Yeah.
Where who's a sign?
I guess who, but at that point,
I didn't click say
yes, send me here all of that. Or through the money phase, or 2 houses, 1 condo. There's one patient as well.
Maybe I story near me though. No, to you not if you need day.
Fortunately, I'm Chepi. Wouldn't say during that time now, Munoso no Oja Nukunu. Due to many are now, a manager Nukunu because she had problems.
And this way, who
no, she wasn't conscious of it. Make us aware who because she knew what was happening, but was not conscious of it and could not control.
Like I didn't click what that side said, but the way no off into
right.
Okay.
And Obu said through a relationship, though they are in a relationship, they may have some problems, right? We do not have any just cause. Otenche a onte say I did to know you say ebi onoma na yare na teche.
Okay.
And there is one also no became very hyperactive, became hypersexual. Right? And to tell me, I am catch me presentations was sorry, I am catch for say I'm too quick, say move too for saying because you do all my Abia Nesebe, Arabina, or go through into the essay man. So part of the symptoms of bipolar manic phase includes hypersexuality. And you also know all. So when next one managing the year, once again, it can end a lot of relationships. Ebu odom so now, once on that. To me end that maybe about 3-4 days, no, about 3 hours of sleep, and they are still very functional. Obeka also media I work under stress. I'm a go-getter. I work a lot. There be so open more. Oh, Obu odom so now they engage in purposeless activities. You media who do bebre na odina no se be infaso bi eni so. Obe clean if you no ma tidy up at time no ma hye obe fio no aye attended the whole place after that, right? But the net it's just that energy ne woni mu na person burning no, and they put it in such activities.
Okay.
So that is the manic phase. When they go through the depressive phase, then it becomes like a typical depression. And you see someone that at one point very hyper, doing everything, going up and down, after the next time I'll be then mellow. What I'm saying. And that becomes the mania. They're talking about depression. Mamika will say real quick in relation to bipolar. Now after they enquire the next one, so you'll be a friend of seasonal affective disorder, SAD, right? So seasonal affective disorder now happens when, like a seasonal. So your winter, near spring, near summer, near fall. Okay. And to one says a true winter biana, they feel depressed. Because Baminchomu, a true winter, you realize that nature dies. In Diani no ahabaya tiegu. A yumina ye kusuku, right? We are papa
parties in your
no. And nature dies during winter. And to was a bedroom is no on purpose mood no so no is dying.
But don't you think so some people naturally just adjust to the weather and say, oh challenge winter there is slow into the mami so not why slow but not say be a yare the man is slow.
No, where why you slow and you are not functioning at your optimal level. So what I mean is every winter I'm not going for parties and stuff because they be new on.
Right.
One mention. But then we say no,
and you're okay.
And you're okay because they knew on. But then we say no every winter season ni nyinaa no slow down, like nature nyinaa slow down. And after there, I said, Minya atinka,
Minya crowd quite
yes,
to go to church.
Then you realize you said no, SAD may be a part of it.
SAD near them.
Seasonal affective disorder.
Okay.
Then until I don't know what with the same seasonal affective disorder. No. So go on so I say a springer. You realize they say leaves in air up. We are APM more. Things are brighter. Ubon said then the dress and crap was it tends to be brighter. To be on my one not dying me patcho so be a dying red and not blue. Memco cancers or but as part of the symptoms, you know, then they tend to brighten up into bones they not dying red and not the colors be or better share which is really loud. Until at that point, you know, as the season also brightens up, you know, once they don't also know or brighten up, then everything becomes and you know, the SAD in relation to bipolar, no, we talked about the depressive phase and then the manic phase with bipolar. In the same way, you know, so no SAD, you know, during winter they go down, during spring, then you see them really up, spring into summer.
Cool. Abushafo, I need you guys to just type in your different types of illness. You want to be dissected. At this point, you know, there are any vocal questions, Bia. So if you have any questions now, you can just type it in. Once he's done with the education, then we can open the forum for basically vocal questions. That will be the Q&A section. And then first time we're joining us, we have a pattern on our show. We come, we do the first part of introduction with the Startup 7 director. Then after that, then we introduce the guest speak, do the presentation. After the presentation, during the presentation, there are some questions that are being asked in the Zoom chat, Facebook, YouTube, and I still ask them those questions. Then after that, we do the proper Q&A, whereby we ask the people actually come on Zoom and ask the questions. Then after we're done with that section, we close the chapter. Then we just go to Startup Send Q&A, whereby every question and answers are related specifically to Startup Send only. So this part is like, go ahead and just drop all your questions in the Zoom chat, and I will make sure that I read them for you definitely. So please, let's do that. All right. So before Semeko we did some commenting I wanted to understand something on this tangent. Matiwa baby pen say, maybe one out of every 4 people are diagnosed with mental illness and a mental health illness. What do you about now about church here? Because can we get a little bit of understanding on that part? Because it's a problem. Is that mental health the issue or the mental illness is the issue? Which one should we be worried about? And both?
Both, because either one can affect your state of functioning. So at the quality of makers, they say, "Yarewe biano, eso umiti criteria bi, and sana yetimi a diagnosis as such." One never check. In the end, they say, "Bibi AC, next me blood pressure kosra, and yeah no anti no near diagnosing me with hypertension." One never check. As a meet certain criteria, it has to go for a steady period of time and all that. So answering the mental health conditions in the society, and I say illnesses in the thing. Until it is a depression, your symptoms have to be present for X amount of weeks or months, and then you may have a mental health condition and also a problem without it being diagnosed, but still a problematic.
Okay.
Because that's all share no ye, and yes, another then it may get worse.
That's what I'm
correct.
But and then you
correct.
Okay. So now, can you affirm that one
out of 4? So 1 out of 4 be our mental health condition. Yes, that is correct.
Now, how many have illness now?
Into the illness, it's a bit difficult to say. Right. But then, in terms of the condition, and as I say, a mental health problem, yes, 1 out of 4. And to say what studio has Yeah, for no hasi. Into
senior example, your producer Nana Lord, producer Nana Kwesi, and here one gasa will have him say, and I'm Yasaba. And they say when they just have one, and I'm a person that says this year,
and then who the carpet.
Dabio, Nana Lord over Giana, and
but here's the thing.
But David, for a person making comments on YouTube, I guess everyone has mental health issue, one way or the other.
That is true because we have something we call traits versus illness, which I'll come to. But let me get with the 1 out of 4 there, right? We say statistics and we are looking at data, and just say literally no phobia about who will be. What do I say? So we're looking at the bigger picture.
But when you need for no meaning
will be.
Yes.
And as I say for so
the probability plays a role. It is somewhere why I say that is obi DB.
It's possible to say 2
I can bet to be about your friend say police for be that gate and watch.
It's very possible to say 2 B because it should be any but I will say 2 B.
Okay, and the doctor try say or no any producers in the back it will be the idea.
But when
okay, go ahead.
The traits versus the illness, right? Now, Obia was certain traits because mental health, is part of our nature. It is part of our being, right? Our personalities. Who say your mental health condition is beyond your friend personality disorders?
I don't know. But me should name details.
Okay, so we're talking about mental health.
Not a deaf. Or your way, and then also your way, or so your way. Then the personality.
One of them.
Okay.
One of them. So we're talking about mental health, not a death sentence. So it is not a death sentence because it is part of who we are, our personalities. Eye bosu, sane ya boye. Ana ebi wonom so a eye ntete. So when it comes to illnesses and as mental health in particular, you will be a friend of nature versus nurture. Wawusu ene won tete. And just like any other condition, hypertension, you could be hypertensive because of your nature. Wawusu. No papa will be. And most likely you are predisposed. They like to
point the camera and the men point men say be a problem about it, but they are point the camera.
Okay. And sana right? Ama you want the nature no, the nature
no.
Ontiti nti bia undidi exercise no maybe a oye nti no na after the mo benya hypertension no abra anyway busu nti so the mental health diagnosis. But then when it comes to personality disorders now there are a little over 15 personality disorders.
Okay.
Right? Now out of that 15 you categorize it into 3. Into your cluster A, cluster B, and cluster C. Me pamcho we addition so taking notes. And yes, I before this. Your cluster A, cluster B, cluster C. Cluster A for the key characteristics of their personalities they say it's odd. So they include schizoid personality and yes, schizophrenia. Schizoid personality, paranoia, delusions, right? And those along those lines. And say I can be a paranoid, will be a paranoid, and also be a delusional. They have the fixed false belief. What did I say? Okay, person me who say me confuse you be.
No. I settled the exams on the questions for the exam hall.
Into our fixed false belief about someone. Into and answer about something. Oh, we say we person poison me. It's very difficult to convince them. So we and they have
a typical example. Also for being on any array, I could have my interview. We say no. What's that? Beman say ni man person poison. But the family is also saying otherwise. So that could be a typical example.
It's possible. It's possible. And that is that person. And delusion also no. Like I say, I say bibi be koso one am ched. And obu on mo hono ma and say oh war no air coming down on me. When I say war no is falling on us. And I don't know hono. Then we also have the schizoid typically comes with hallucinations. Obu so now with this one typically you could have all three. The paranoia, delusional, and hallucinations. Say, so, hallucinations, you so you more your auditory hallucinations, what's in your ma? Your visual hallucinations, your tactile hallucinations, say bibi Edna Namoho, but then really she knew no. And you know, all of these hallucinations, they were only parkour, a filia, no who are now TBB, they are not real. Into you will be honum or say, I will be Geronimo or Cassie or say, but one more only in a moon honey parkour. So that person is having a visual hallucinations. Okay. And you know, that is the cluster A. And that is why we say their behavior is odd. For them also, no more treatment, is a bit difficult because they are fixed and set in their ways. What am I saying? But then those people, once they also realize that there's something wrong, it is easier for them to get treatment.
Just we'll do healing process now, no.
Correct.
Because I realize it.
So it's easier for them to get treatment. Now, over cluster B for now.
Before we call cluster B, BB there, you come yogurt in the Kwame Eugene boss, I know. It's not as a at that time, no, more visit BB Bessie, I see up to not BB and Yancy, I don't know. Sometimes I know.
Your old boy is almost before COVID, the BBS. It's here called cluster B there. Cluster B there, also no, more of narcissistic. Right? You said what it pay?
Oh,
so we say mental health, not a death sentence. There are some people that we've heard, and also say more those personality traits, But then, more they're using it to their advantage. Actually, that is the point I'm trying to make. They're using it to their advantage, and the fact is, say you may have a trait or have the illness, does not make it a death sentence because it can also be used as an advantage. So now let me even go to bipolar. Then I'll come back to the personality. Bipolar, it is said, and also actually he has said it. An American musician. I don't know if it's okay for me to mention his name, but who follow entertainment. You realize he said there's an American musician who has bipolar, right? But then say a ban on the performance, the businesses all year, and this is the normal all year. He is a billionaire. So he may be using his symptoms to his advantage.
In that case, how?
How? Okay. So the activities that he will engage in will not be rationalize on yet. But because of his state, he is not able to do that rationalization. Therefore, he will engage in increase his popularity, increase his sales, make his money.
Oye tuntum.
Oye tuntum.
Oye bema.
Oye bema.
Onante konedi.
To.
Okay.
And mental health is not a death sentence. There are some people that I believe that they have the traits, right, of narcissistic personality disorder. But one of them rose to become a president of a powerful country. What do I say? Unim.
No, because musicians.
But also a musician in Ghana, whom I believe has the trait. And he uses it so well. Say he continues to be prominent, talked about, release his songs after his songs. Every song of this 7 words about his song. And these things, once you are able to use it well, it's okay.
So then in that case, define what a narcissist is. Define it like basically, what are some of the what do they do?
Okay, so someone with narcissistic personality disorder or the traits, you realize at every given point in time, they see themselves to be superior over others. They will engage in arguments, and the intention or the thing is, they will never lose to them.
Even when they are wrong.
Oh yeah, they are wrong. Because ne so be at ne man. Ono no sa no na so ono no koto to ma pofan. Ono ne fa no better than yours.
Eto baba ko ne koto ne etwa mu die no.
Sesi ase no.
Ono no have.
Ono ne de na ye better than
came from the same fabric.
Yeah. And everything about them is better. What they measure. And you know, obisa no, and they like to argue, they like to confront people, they like to bruise the ego of others, they will offend you, and they don't have any remorse.
So they are bullies.
More or less. Right? And you know, obisa no, in an entertainment industry, they will take on people, more for the beef, right? On engage beef left, right, center.
On kind of crowd or shas.
There we have instigation there. And the mental health is not a death sentence. And this particular musician in Ghana, no, he once came under a brand. After a time, he rebranded. Came back with this personality and thrived.
So could it be say or act that personality?
It's very possible.
And I say, no other personality.
It's very possible because I've listened to too many interviews where people say when you meet him in person now, it's a different ball game altogether.
When you meet that person in person. It like different ball game.
Yeah. Like in the personality, a very different or calm demeanor, very kind-hearted and all of that. But to the public, these are his traits.
Because afa. Okay. Now talking about your friend is say cluster A no the another work I don't know. Because I know so you're gonna go back and we're gonna read some of your comments very soon for him to address it. It's getting heated, and this is the time, and that's the place whereby you get more people to come in, listen for themselves. It's better when they listen for themselves than you go back and just, try to explain things to them. I will let us get to the real definition of not a death sentence. When I'm diving into the stigmatization associated to the mental health and mental illness, faculty, But one thing I've always understood people from the say, sometimes I feel say this trait is becoming more in men because men are not seen to be voiceful to speak about how they feel.
Which trait?
Like a lot
mental
of
health?
Yes.
Some are more predominant in males, some are more predominant in females.
Okay. It depends on what it is, right?
Right.
Because I remember a couple of weeks ago we met with Dr. Archie, and Dr. Archie was talking to us about how even what aduane a obetu ofia yedi no can even make it look like say your family has hypertension. But it's not a family disease. It's just the way of life.
The nurturing part.
Yes. So then you fall into it, automatic your cholesterol start going high. Say your family never adored to exercising. Probably your dad never did sports, your mom never did sports. So all you know is say then things just start on na me papa or blood pressure to be say then you just automatic what cycle when you just fall for it. So with these traits that is going on and the way the world is going, one thing I've understood is that when you get to understand people, you can live with them better.
Exactly.
If you get to understand them. But this world right now, it looks like people don't have opinions anymore. When you decide to come up with your opinion, so far as only me me thankful. And this just happened with a situation with a musician and an actress situation. And I've actually have 3 friends they beat themselves over that. And my question is, what if this musician and the actress meet in the next 2-3 years and become the best of friends? Will you go back and apologize to a friend? Could that be an also form of mental illness? Say because obi to be movie, right? Koku menu ka asem you say oko baby no be introduced Prophet Bedukobi emame. Oh no, say wo nya
waka chempe.
And a Prophet Bedukobi ka say oh man sini no e den oh yo enye serious but you see how the obi to be hwe sini no afan ho time obi to be to asem no afan what we don't know. Is that not part of those mental way?
That one is the social orientation. Right,
okay.
That is the social orientation. To say you'll be bored, Moka said this one right now negativity sells, which is very true. And we built a society where I say we all have like strong opinions and you have to stand by it and die by it. The room for where we have to have deliberations, negotiations, and talk about stuff to get to a logical conclusion. Since I said yours, partly because it said Obia wants to be counted. And if we are to come on a panel, right? Nese meka asem nese who different opinion. I say ye come by common ground. Then it may seem say I'm weak. And it's a mechanic goofy crampo no now for the old try so correct me, then I have to stand my ground and make it look like I'm tough.
But that makes you look more stupid, though, because especially when you are wrong.
For the level-headed person,
but maybe
but for the average person, then you are strong.
You can find yourself in the midst of people who are not as educated, not as knowledgeable to the fact as you are, and you want to hold on to your grounds. I understand that. But in the case whereby everybody is privy to what you are talking about, and all your argument, your argument, according to your argument, has fallen flat, and still
there's one person that comes on YouTube every Saturday, not every, most of Saturday evenings. He's typical.
Bulldog,
Debbie.
Oh, okay.
Needing and presentations, in fact. But you go back to mental health. You go back to mental health not being a death sentence, right? So, a band say like cluster B for the narcissistics and the histrionics and the borderline personality. Sometimes, they cry for when there's none. They want to be loved. Then they will threaten self-harm and suicide and all of that, right? And hormones it got more to do with emotions, the cluster B for. Then we go to cluster C, which has to do more with anxiety related. And hormonal avoidant personality disorder. So avoidant personality is where but then anytime I feel say I'm being avoided, then I have to do everything to get the attention. So some will refer to them as attention seekers, right? And we see them all the time. If you follow entertainment, lifestyle, anything like that, you see, especially cluster B and cluster C, in these people all the time, which goes to tell us, you're normal, you're nipa yesu. Into the makers say, how I will be managing. So what managing the year there, then becomes a problem to you and others. Okay. So managing the year so there, then you can also use it to your advantage.
All right. Maybe read some comments kakra. Oh, maybe we didn't we are no afan mama why. Say bia we bo ma refer no okay. Dr. Angela Dankwa Dempsey. Why when you have a question? Or say, so what about what means me but intimate spelling MUNCHAUSEN syndrome? I said by Munich no. Where the badana acrobato. Or so what about Munchausen syndrome? Mekanye. Munchausen. Munchancity. Okay. I'll say what about that syndrome? I think they want to know. Say no, yeah, one of the mental health illness they be. Then doctors say, is PTSD a mental health condition?
Yes, it is.
I know they may be aware because.
But it's not exclusive to military. Okay, wait.
Oh, okay. Well, mental health condition or it causes mental health like depression. All right. Anna Ernest, Anna, or say of late we hear of men killing their partners for whatever reasons. Is this a mental health issue? And do men suffer mental health issues more than women? And if so, how do we deal with such issues to avoid future killings? I know a very good question from Ernest Anane. Then Beatrice Abuaje was answering your questions to the musician Alkaze Kanye. I think so, not Kanye West. Anna Ella Duncan says, yes, that is the one in the. Okay, Ella was confirmed that. Duncan was says they kindly mention the person's name. I think some of are very excited to know. Now, Ernest comes back to say it's hallucination, spiritual, and that's what my question was gonna go. Because also Bibi said, "Obi to me, or see Bibi nam no," and I wanted to. So the next two topics we're gonna segments we're gonna go. This part, the spiritual part with mental health connotation, and also the stigmatization. Anna Ella Duncan, so the Ghanaian one, because he's in entertainment, having certain behaviors and characteristics, fires the image he wants to give the public. Being irrational or bad boy or woman has been glorified to the youth. That's a good one. Please send the questions and comments. Okay, this is coming from my question. I'm trying. Me reading media. Hey, oh my mission. I say God be with you all. Do some personalities types, TPS, and I think so types make one more prone to depression. or do some personality types make one more prone to depression? So those are the comments that we have on Zoom, and I will let you just address those as we proceed. Then Samoboche from Facebook or HRTV say, "This is great. God bless you, sir." No, Samoboche. So Edema no. Into the memoir proceeding, right? Into that, then after that, we're going to talk about the spirituality connotation, and the stigmatization.
Okay. So, mental health issues, a draw so.
Remember what about be a man?
Manchester.
Okay, Manchester.
It's try to talk about all of it in a day, is really tough. But you're ready, you're better me there. So now, with Dr. Dempsey's question, yes, it is a condition. And for those who do not know, it is a state where people just go to the ER, make up conditions to seek treatment, right?
For what?
For what? And also the comfort, the coping mechanism,
Who did copy the?
Oh, I have 2 patients like that.
Who sorry no Gary? No
yeah.
They make up urgent care,
yeah, emergency room.
Near the bill, bro.
No better. Okay. They make out those and then they go. They one my very inflicted. One also nice all in their head. And yes, it is.
Can dealing with people with mental health makes you also mental healthy?
Me partner in your communicable disease.
Oh, okay. Because I said like that okay. Say maybe you don't care but maybe move.
And the reason why I answer so quickly, they say I've heard too many times. It's psychiatry for the then they are like their patients.
Oh, and you crowd then and me count.
Let's say me acting like a patient.
Yo, I wasn't addressing it with you. I was talking about this statement that you just made right now, right? Just try to rationalize and comprehend what you were saying, alone was making me mad, and I caught myself say, now before I said, "Who Gary? Na be, but I'm for, but then you be you towel." Yeah, that's why I caught myself.
Now call Air Force, I'm also me call psychiatry.
Matter,
Obia or do bet my hand.
Okay.
Yes, it is a condition. It's very difficult. One of those very difficult ones to treat, because where they are and how they feel, and typically we refer to them as frequent flyers, like they're in and out, right? Then the question about PTSD being a mental health condition. Yes, it is a mental health condition under the DSM-5. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
Right? It is when you are exposed to a traumatic event to where it do move them. Usually, though, it is referred to people who are more aqua war and as I say have been in the military, but it's not exclusive to them. It can happen to anyone. Obi odoma sabi de obehu a enye issue ma no obi onu so obehu is a big issue. Obi odoma bi akoto accident so pay. And that is where their trauma came from. Therefore, they have the repetition, like they have the flashbacks of the scene. It is very difficult if they are to come upon an accident scene and find the level of accident because of their previous experience in it. Say, kitu ebi krampo that it frightens them, right? And that is PTSD. Everyone they have the flashbacks. Everyone they have different symptoms. Everyone so now their symptoms will not be direct, like it will show directly in relation to their exposure. So this is what I mean. Your fan say, "Soldier ni awako war." Mumpo de tell you so omo. In the fan say, "Obi awako pi accident so." Now when you PTSD from that, they may have other symptoms, right, which may not be a flashback of that accident. And to the ones abra, you're trying to identify what the person is going through. No. It is so difficult to identify because the flashback is not directly linked to the incident. Does it make sense? And sometimes you have to do a lot of digging and questioning to be able to realize and say, okay, this is the relation.
Okay, so I'm using myself as an example. I don't like to be the type that will make itself as an example. Don't because my damn for be. I used to ride motorcycle back in the military, right? A lot. And I was that when you get used to something new now, that hyperness of yes, weekends be only boys. I said my journey bike gang out. You guys ride together. On my way to work, Obiko Shia intersection, Panyan, a born on top of one Soribium, right? Guess what happened? At the end of the day, my bike libium, me the bike no 20 miles per hour, educate you, and will be a driving bay, will be riding bay if I'm driving it by the car bay. Up to now, exactly 10 years, I mean, say, I've never held a bike, I've never sat on a bike. Many car accident twice. One of the accidents will be right? But I still drive. How is I did not because sometimes I ask myself, the music you're gonna be a name, right? It's a bike on or biker. I get flashback from 2013. What happened, right? But I don't know. I keep asking myself, and this question I ask myself, anytime I see just a flashback now, I ask myself, say, how come say Canadian? I'm not, I'm stopping from driving. I don't mean guidance or being driving now, they be in front, and I'm in track mobile.
Who's the Obuon moment to be driving?
Is it because of a convenience, statement of convenience?
Yes. Because it says subconsciously you've seen car to be safer. What am I saying? And if accidents with cars happens and still we feel safer with cars because we've seen cars to be safer. Say ebano moto na obiti say me say moto so tonight me den rough. What do I say? Because I feel say I'm not protected by anything. Should I be exposed to an accident, a serious accident involving a motor, and then I mention so crowd? One of me, like it's more of the subconscious. And now Obia so the trigger. Obi better motor so ebe kwa kwhwe no be safa o de beko. Obi so better na care mu due to something that happened.
I mean, what bothers me is why am I dealing with it? Because I didn't even kind of get involved in it. It happened right in front of me. But maybe then what I was involved in, and I'm still doing it.
Right. Adam Meche say, Obiane de etumino, Obiane ne abrenge, Obiane ne comfort level, Obiane ne, Obiane de ebe ne trigger versus the end the trigger. Like meaning couple of people that cannot drive over a bridge.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. I mean, Obi a unim no. Want to be driving over a bridge. Mean Obi a unim now. Want to be driving through a construction.
Oh wow.
Yeah. You poor me to my name so.
Mr. The construction to be doing in Nemusa.
Hey, want to be driving through a construction so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Question is, at what point does mood swings mature into bipolar? And the second one is, does a qualified personnel have to observe one for a certain amount of time before diagnosing bipolar? I want us to go into the spiritual part of it and also.
I'm not sure if we finished the questions that were on Zoom now.
Zoom me reading.
You're reading. Minimum some answer in your son and patch.
I think it's a majority of it.
Okay.
And I'm going to open it up for Q&A and maybe they'll come back for further way.
All right. It's the first one. They say mood swings maturing.
Yes.
Koko tiba be Daniel Ponchene.
Yes.
So this case, right, it's not direct say who mood swings are a bit mature about bipolar. What am I say? It doesn't go through a natural progression to maturity. With bipolar, no, to say the dynamic say certain criteria has to be met for a diagnosis to be diagnosed. No, there has to be certain criteria ube meet answer. The fact is to say Emma, right? Me patrol, I'm not being sexist. I'm not being a. Earlier on, you mentioned about a man being a young. I said certain things are more predominant in men, some are more in women. In Timpacho, I'm not being any of those things. Don't come after me. If you do that, but then who's the Emma? Through at certain times of the month, their behaviors changes. Okay, and no does not make them bipolar.
And yeah, more hormonal infusion.
Hormonal.
Yes.
But then certain hormonal imbalances can lead to mental health conditions.
Okay.
Yes.
And the card mean will be ultimate or
post-traumatic
postpartum, right?
Postpartum depression, postpartum blues, and postpartum psychosis.
And it never leaves.
So after 2 weeks to go away, then it becomes blues. If it's after a couple of months, then it's postpartum depression. If it becomes psychotic and all that, then it becomes postpartum psychosis.
Right.
What am I saying? And I'm patient. every single month at that time of the month for 6 days she will have psychosis.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I know that a mental illness and mental health.
Then it becomes a mental illness, but it comes at a certain point.
But it's a condition and situation that this are conditioning back.
Correct. Now I say bibi ado bibi no kofaba.
And you could buy or the program you buy a tap absent.
To.
It is the tap absent and then the mental illness and other mental health no. And a condition in the HITV no.
Facilitated. So the answer to that question is it doesn't go through natural progression. But then if the mood swings are to go on with other conditions and symptoms, then we can say bipolar. Then the second one is do a professional analysis.
Have to monitor somebody.
Monitor someone. Yes. With every condition, it has time frame associated with it. So when you say monitor now, it is not more so like I was saying me general show for a week and I say my mom machine be born who said to say tested for sleep studies to say
sleep apnea.
Dr. Edu Eboabe na right, they can give you something to monitor and I said diabetes a bit machine be near their monitor. This one and yet that kind of monitoring. And I don't know where the person is coming from, so me patrol me can't say that now patch, but I want to broaden it to answer your question. But then yes, you have to be under the care of a professional for the professional to diagnose you.
Okay. All right. So you're running real quick into the spiritual part of it, I don't know. Okay, condition you feel say be na hallucinations and it's been argued by many school of thought say asofo bebre na na sekofo bebre mo kwa sorry dem ekokoje or before being a year or now being a year on bebre na are having real mental health issues. It's what they sorry them say before na tata do we is that really the case? And now say it's actually spirituality like what they're dealing with, they're very spiritual. So
when it comes to the issue of spirituality and mental health, it is one tricky, dicey one. Because a baby I would across a baby across or GD. What do I say? And you know, also GD say yanko pon the catcher wa. Many wine coca say yan the catcher. But then when GD say yanko pon the catcher and the behaviors are inconsistent with the norm, then we may have a problem.
But right now, people are even deviating from the norms because right now everybody's working with their own philosophy instead of dealing with the principles.
And the norm I'm referring to here is Weje Didi. Also, I fasted for 40 days. When we say we go so fasted, what do I say? Those extreme circumstances, then definitely there is something wrong. A bit more on my cases, you don't need to be told to say.
Because I was even talking about those that say obekumi like and they would think say it's spiritual, but rather the person is having some hallucination problems, which could be more of mental health. Near the medical hospital, now a psychiatrist, near that then the issue keep getting worse day in day out. I think that's more of what I'm heading to now. Could that be the case of many people that are in the church houses that are still not being relieved? Like, could people still seek spiritual help and also seek, first say,
and all of them may answer, Neko, but then I wanted to not sound the word of caution, but be cautious, right, in answering that question. Then my progress be answered. So now, having said the fact is, ebi wo onuma omunya meneni omokasa. Ebunum ohonom nso na it is really mental health issue. Ebu ohonom nso na they have belief in a superior being. They associate everything to the superior being and therefore leave the physical part. That is where it becomes problematic also. So now, the issue of spirituality and mental health. So Obi se wote Nyankupo bi ne. Na se affect the quality of life. And yet risk to herself, him or herself and others. Then we don't get too much into that. What am I say? Because say them say Obi one more so omi hu me hu bibi obi aba be jono no o si say and as say mate say Nyankopon na ka say ya chairman right na say enya ade a baby ote no as they try to escape and I said they're doing something risky because of what they perceive as coming and I said bibi sadia then wono nyame na kasa so be it. But when it becomes a threat to themselves or somebody else, they are not able to perform their ADLs, and then their quality of life is being compromised. Then we have a problem.
Okay.
So now, to the question of the fact is that if you want to but they will not seek the physical help. No. I say, you were diabetes or hypertension, and I always go back to these ones because we are more familiar with those ones and comfortable with those ones, but not the mental health ones. I've heard so many times where people have said they say schizophrenia a spiritual issue, even seizure, right? Epilepsy, but the question is if these ones are entoyaria, what makes you think it's a diabetes, hypertension, malaria, fever, cancer, entoyaria?
Very in a bit my entoyaria.
Cool. And you know, once again, it comes to the perception and stigma associated with mental health. And to the second, say a mental health they are a spiritual. And once you set your mind as such, you know, then it doesn't make you seek help. I'm also saying is spiritual issues will hold them. I'm not negating that fact. But I want to also emphasize physical illnesses also will hold them. So with anything at all, as you seek spiritual help, do not negate the physical help. With anything at all. So yeah, who are diabetes are still because you need the insight on how to manage it. It is still bohumpae. In the same way, if you are diagnosed with depression, anxiety, or anything, bohumpae. No, it is equally important that you seek the physical help.
All right. You're diving into the stigmatization. I'm open Zoom now for Ebusa or more questions. So quick one, like 2 minutes. Give us. We need to conscientize the people to understand that it's not okay to look down on people who has mental illness, mental health problems. It's not okay for also people that have it. Now, also was about work no what should that hide behind it to be no the dibony, no the dinipayao enya. So can you just give that education about stigmatization so that people can really take it seriously, especially people that have family members and loved ones who have it to the non-communicable campaign now almost seeking help for the person.
Okay. So when it comes to mental health and stigmatization, it is very bad. My example we say, right? Let me bring it home. And let me use someone of authority on this program, Director David. On the director for US.
Yes,
okay. Canada. So North America.
Mm-hmm.
The other one say, you see Director David coming out of a freestanding psychiatric hospital, right? Now, I got reaction now, and I always try to use people of authority wherever I'm at for a reason. And did you see Director David coming out of a freestanding psychiatric, and I'm using freestanding.
Freestanding, that's anything.
Oh, to say Becker Springs, right? So freestanding is like a psychiatric hospital on its own. Pantai.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Asalam down.
Asalam down.
Right. But we say it will be your psych unit.
Okay, it's a rehab center from California.
Whatever it is. It's, if you see such a person coming out of that facility, immediately your mind is only or mental health condition for which they went there. Maybe I know question will be. Maybe I know on the tap donation. Maybe I know negotiating for a deal to build a unit for them. But then, because of the perception, stigma, and all of that associated to mental health, you see someone like that, immediately you conclude. Then, there you are say, once that you started certain things is done and said. then link it to a diagnosis we may think he has. What do I say? And you know one pick up from Miss G. Hey, Miss G, anything that last director David did that meeting, no so no kick say say Bonafide it starts traveling around just because he saw him come out of there. So because of the stigma, I went to Ghana in 2019, did something with Accra Psychiatric Hospital, the one at Asalam down. And some of the revelations I had was really baffling.
Revelations said
no. Like,
can you
I found out. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, you know much about anyway. Ebini says, Ebini will buy hospital, right?
They have to disguise themselves.
Yes.
They really do?
Yeah.
Maybe kind of get.
Oh, yeah. Okay. They disguise themselves and then come. Obu also, Osi wa baby a SU4 die no one. Once I ran about no region. Osi wo hodo no ananti afa echi ono. E dey aba because osi wo Accra Psychiatric Hospital bus stop na nkrofo bi hu no. Enti obi ono nkwapo na onim say they will alight either at the bus stop before or after. So mo ba area mu ho mpo a.
It's so inconvenient.
But on person be si wani mu onom na obi aba be hu no say we si wani mu onom na the wadri kwapo bu so office psychiatric hospital ho ana so okọ ho do. Let me go to my say. And you know, was a obesi war a bus stop before or after. That is how bad the stigma is in our community.
Wow.
Okay. So, once again, goes back to the 3T. We have to continue talking about it, teaching about it, and then seek treatment.
Okay.
The issue of BBI also need the mental health and also no, and what with destigmatizing the condition. What do I say? Because as I said, you be body biano mental health related. But bebre na wo hono ma omani da ho. If not omani tete hono. Won. Enti no yem try so say ye nipa ye yem fonso. O yem fonso a gitum say o ye nipa no ayem fonso. Enye wadwum bi awe bi ana adwuma pomodin issue bi anema ne kofa bae. You're a man or you're a woman, you erred. To err is human. Nti wuji tumusa na ebeboa. Na se bibia no koye se oh ana you are depressed ana ohun na say anything na or acting the way or acting na there be and you be our problem. Nti everybody will start acting certain way and always associate with their past or certain conditions they may have. Yes, it is true. There are certain conditions that may let you act one way or the other without you being conscious of it.
Okay.
I don't know what.
All right.
But outside of that, me pacho, mumi enja side na enya sana e ma ho asem kai too much. Obi ko twitwe ko obi, oh no mental health issue tia. Obi didi obi atem, no mental health issue tia. Obi yese, no mental health issue. E ba ne sana then say me na ye ma
obi churo book e be ka so mental health issue tia da. And obi ko rap this back, I be na ka so
Right.
All right. So thank you for your contribution. At this point, you better be a Q&A, you know. Now we'll be able to send the questions real quick. Mr. Obaswa, 30 seconds, please. If you go over that now, we'll have to have somebody else speak because of time factor. No, into quick 30 seconds. You ask your question, then you just move on to it. Right, Madam, I said, me patcho reaction button. No, Uma, raise your hand up. Now we'll call you and we'll call you in that order. All right. Dr. Angela Dankwa Dempsey, Patrick Kasa.
internalize it, right? And it becomes very like you internalize things for so long now, it becomes a big issue. That's when people tend to now start, going into the manic state because they have internalized depression. People don't validate that, oh, say we are depressed or, we understand. Your culture, no, it doesn't validate those kind of feelings, stress or I'm sad or I'm, I don't feel our parents now, they don't really validate it. I think it's a challenge in our community because it has to start from us even educating our your mom and papa, your papa more to understand say those kind of feelings, and yes, into feel like it's something that needs to be looked at. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Doctor, that's a part for your contribution.
Okay, Lord, me that say, and I will add say, especially among the youth, it's worse. Imagine say your 13 to 18-year-old comes to you and tell you say I have anxiety or I'm depressed. A typical response from a parent to be like, wouldn't be a friendly depression. African parent. Me I meet your school fees. I mean yes, me bought double yes, crowd me can say me I should now one a measure. But the thing is, one also when you have hypertension, you quickly run to your doctor. The kid has depression and or anxiety. Please take him or her to also see a practitioner. One of them. And with the stigma there, it is very huge. And as you rightly said, in our community, we don't talk about it. We just keep it hush-hush. And partly also because if the society is to know that this household has such a condition now, that the whole household will be tagged negatively. And then we don't want anybody to know. Then with the childbirth, and also know, even adds on to the postpartum depression, because while the hormonal changes alone is enough to cause issues. Then the external issues of us also not providing the support also makes it worse.
Oh, apparently Facebook first not a man tefio. Imrana, who kasa the air kasa don't say about when Dr. NG kasa no, I think that they didn't hear anything.
Oh, okay. So mostly the Dr. Kaino na mesaka was exactly. We'll try and fix the technical issues for you to hear the next one. And those ones, it is very difficult for any individual to be in that position. Let us all be a helping hand. And Adebakwa, me pacho so be ready, mami home. The Adebakwa
okay, Abena, you ready?
Okay.
Abena, I'm meeting Nakasawai.
Sessions. That's what I want to say. But my question is, said the not doctor can say initiate me relate obia commit suicide like obia bobi to only bibia na bit me related to mental health because ebia na nipa na dey money. But then is there a way I bet to me say omutimi postpartum was a post then ye bibi ehu de ku nipa no. Ombetimi so aye bibi ami ye hu say nipa ebia condition say and also no mental health and the ku no ana. Is that possible?
So patches so obi aye bibiama say be we fimu and also say while they are alive.
Where fimu
no. We can always look at their past. Right? We can always look at their past and look at their history and then make a clinical conclusion.
Okay. Now, bet me out to na work on so. I'm not that was no question.
Okay. So the other mechanic say Adebakwa so a na etire me ya pa. Parents are or with mental health issues. A bit is autism. Right? Now say you take pa ADHD. Now, what the mommy face me anyway. Now, a parent with a kid with any of these two conditions, it is very difficult for that parent. Extremely difficult.
Yes, stressful.
There you say, what did not be called baby? Na as I said, you nipe wo ho no omo ku omo ho omo active funny be towards the akra no. And as I said, omo ma with the right reception.
Yeah, very sad.
It is very like anytime I see something like that, it's very disheartening to me. There is a lady in Maryland, or autistic child. For that reason, for some years now, I'm sharing Ninano on Timmy Quasari because of course, sorry, the reaction she gets from the people at the church.
Exceptionally bad.
Into non Quasari. So if you think it said the child being there for 4 hours to 6 hours, is too much for you or imagine her, I mean the family living with her, the patient, with the child, 24/7. And we have to be empathetic towards others. See who be bisana me pamocho yem ko momwa. You taking the child away or showing the child love for even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, means a ton to that parent, And I'm a samo any communicable disease, any area a sign. No, I can say, oh, because so ni more me walk crowd will be, and as I say, me be, and any area a sign. Intimate samo. That is not the case. The other thing also no say a ban so say only pakono onya help will be answer now. After then it compounds parents and also the mental health issues. Oh, your caregiver fatigue, which can lead to her being irritable, agitated. Now, if you don't not snappy at you, it is all because of what they are going through. Into your when it comes to things like this, now let us always be to the aid of the family. Okay. Because of here help.
Whether doc, final West Brania surgery did so now. Yeah, call to Tap and Q&A.
Okay. So finally, as we said, mental health, not a death sentence. There are too many people, functional, who have mental health conditions and illness. I quite remember I was having a conversation with a surgeon, a medical professional, a surgeon to be precise, and we were talking about an individual having a mental health conditions and all that. And he said, but that person makes a lot of sense. So, what the way our perception about mental health? It is perceived to say, so what mental health is there?
Wouldn't it make sense?
Wouldn't it make sense?
How? But they're one of the smartest people.
And only
especially like autistic for them. They're very smart.
Do you know, say, when you get to JFK, the artwork in all of them, it was done by an autistic person.
Which one? Like
the city.
Oh.
The drawing of the city at JFK was done by an autistic person.
They're very smart.
They have particular qualities which has to be identified, nurtured, and then grown. And once you do that, you find the best in them. Recently, there was a news video here in the States. Akrabia obo organ. I don't know the difference between organ, piano, and all that grand stuff. But
yeah, they say,
but that kid was so gifted with the piano to the extent that like Omu will be there.
I think what the best success also be answered on
oboto a bit better exactly. So these kids, have like special qualities that you have to identify and nurture it. And obia is special in their own way. Mumayen taking interest in people. Let us be at the aid of individuals. Let us support each individual and make sure we have a better community. Finally, say ebane say uhu say ase obi ewo what you think is a mental health condition now. Don't go to the individual and be like, PK, it's also PTSD na kiki any no buefu. And as so director as and I say they are depressed or over beating so I door. Once you go with a diagnosis, that person tends to shut you down. And it's partially because of the perception and stigma. So please go with symptoms, objective symptoms. Those are objective. That person can relate to it and make sure also say obetime affects it. One. But we go with the diagnosis now, then or block help our person or the man would be
that's it. And it's a walk with objective messages now. Who that was the question I was on Yansa and phone because those answers for yes, so the Kukubatiko Yasia at the Sutrabeja or quite. You know, and one of my experts say good thing will come out of it. To every action, there's an equal greater reaction. Yo, yeah, I say, Dr. Filippo, for you and to me for coming, honoring our invitation and coming on the show to talk to us on Time with Tapsen, and also on our beautiful and awesome viewers and listeners for being a good patrons on this show today. At this point, officially, we are done with the health part of it. And we're going to head over to Dr. David with the Q&A for Tapsen concerning any questions that you have, being in HR, being in whatever like issues that you have in that's lingering. So this is the time to go ahead and make sure say everything gets taken care of. Yeah, that was it. You better take a quick commercial break. You better on Nandia will be on enough day. You hand it over to Dr. David. Officially, YouTube, Facebook, we are actually basically about to be off. So please meet us on Zoom so that we can go ahead and just enjoy the Q&A part with Dr. David J. And actually, me fan say DR director DR me hi Dr. David J. Me na ba say for quick